Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariya. Please subscribe below so we can be YouTube friends. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the concept of an ascesis. An ascesis is something that you do. Usually, it's a habit of yours that you give up. And an ascesis can be used for spiritual development, among other things. It can be used for other things as well. An ascesis is a means of freeing up the energy that then can be used towards an intention of yours. So there are a few ways or a few things that you need to get right about an ascesis in order for it to work. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I myself am going through an ascesis right now, and I just wanted to share a personal story perhaps. So in this year, I meant to go through further spiritual upgrades, and so my guides made a note to tell me that this was in the works. In other words, my channel is meant to expand. Now, before that can happen, I need to free up my energy so that that work can happen in the background for me, so that I'm not going to have to go on a 40-day retreat somewhere, silent retreat or dark retreat somewhere, right? So that I can be in the physical world, running my business, doing all the things that I need to do. And in the meantime, in the background, my channel is going to open. So that was very much the intention and the goal going into my solar year. And the two things that my guides asked me to give up were coffee. Yeah, I know. If you guys know me, you know I love coffee. Although I have given up coffee, so I haven't had any coffee since the beginning of September already as a part of this ascesis. So it's been 2 months and I haven't really missed it. I do have cocoa though, hot chocolate still, but I've never really been addicted to hot chocolate. So this is a whole other thing. So my guides wanted me to give up 2 things. The first one is coffee, which was really, really obvious. And they've told me before that coffee is not good for me and it darkens my aura. And so if my intention is spiritual development and I really want to have an even stronger channel than I already do, then something had to give. And coffee for me was something that I chose to give up. And initially, my guides, I love them. They're a little tricky. At first, they're like, I'm taking an ascesis for an entire year, you guys, which is really, really challenging. So I'm supposed to give up coffee for an entire year. And I will. I mean, now that initially, though, when I was in September, and if you spoke to me in September, I was like, there's just no way. No way. I can't, I need to function. And now that we're at the, where we are, I'm recording this late October. You're probably going to see this in November. It feels very different. It feels like I can go on for a year without coffee very, very easily. The second thing that they made me give up was a complete surprise. I actually expected that it was going to be social media browsing because I do find myself scrolling, perhaps more so than I should. And so I totally expected them to come through and tell me it was going to be social media. It's actually shopping. Specifically for clothing, accessories, and jewelry. Not allowed to do any shopping. And you guys, like when they first came out and told me that, I was like, that's so easy, you guys. Like, you think that's hard? That's very easy. Apparently, my guides know me better than I know myself because I cannot begin to tell you how many times over the course of the past 2 months I wanted to buy something. Like, I don't know, a pair of shoes or a dress or, I don't know, like like a spiritual dress. And then I've had legitimate occasions that I had to attend and I'm like, I need, a dress for that occasion. Or like, I have a spiritual photo shoot. I need new clothing and cannot get anything. And that's the part of the ascesis. So the long story short, I guess the reason I'm telling you all this is to bring it home for you guys and to make it real. So what are the things that need to happen in order for this ascesis to work? You need to have a very, very strong intention. I know why I'm doing this. As in, my intention is very specific and it's very aligned with my mission. It's very aligned with my heart. I want my channel expanded. I want more spiritual abilities. I want to be able to be even more helpful to even more people through the work that I do and the information that I get. I want that information to be as instantly accessible as possible. I want to be able to go high. And again, I just don't have the time to go into a deep spiritual practice that would usually be required when somebody wants to expand their channel to a degree that I want to expand my channel, right? Unfortunately, don't have the time to go and sit in the dark for 40 days. I wish I did. Like a part of me is like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing? But no, life is happening. And so I have to do something, right? And then apparently, now of course my guides are super helpful in this. And so they did the calculation that if only I had to give up coffee and if only I gave up shopping, I'd be golden. And in your case, if you cannot hear your guides, you're going to have to use your intuition and your best judgment. But again, going into an ascesis with an intention is extremely, extremely important, and clarity of intention. And to be honest, like write it down, because especially if you're going to give up something important to you for a prolonged amount of time, you really need to get clarity on that intention. Like, why are you doing this, right? And then you're going to need to understand or figure out or decide what it is that you're going to give up. Usually it's something that you're either addicted to or something that you really love or something that you really crave, and something that you either spend a lot of time thinking about or just spend a lot of time doing, or you have an attachment to, right? For instance, say I don't care about strawberries. I cannot just say, you know what, I'm going to give up strawberries, because if I don't consume an exorbitant amount of strawberries on a daily basis, then my energy is not in strawberries, right? So the whole point of an ascesis is to find things in life where you have a lot of your energy, and then saying, you know what, I'm going to take that energy that would otherwise have been devoted to consuming that product or doing that activity. I'm going to take it. I'm going to gather it in this one spot. And then when the push comes to shove, I'm going to use that energy to propel me towards my goal. Right? Usually with an ascesis, it's more effective if you do more than one thing. If you just give up alcohol or like whatever it is, like if you just give up scrolling Instagram, it's not going to be enough. So you usually want to do more than one. 2 to 3 is a good number of things to give up. More tends to be overkill and it's not even needed, right? It's not all that incremental to what you're trying to do. And then a proper ascesis is usually at least 2 months. But the longer you go, the more energy is going to be freed up. Like in my case, I'm going on for an entire year. And that's a big commitment. You guys, I cannot begin to tell you how much I miss shopping. And it's only been 2 months. And again, not anything I've been aware of, but my guides made me aware. And now I'm like, ooh, I really miss this. I really miss the thrill of new dresses. But no. But again, when the intention is really strong and you know why you're doing what you're doing, it makes so much sense and it becomes actually easy. And so essentially you commit to what you figure out exactly what it is that you're going to give up. You figure out the time frame and then you commit to it. And then the rest is simple. You just have to follow through. If you told yourself, I'm going to give up coffee and croissants or whatever, or gluten for 3 months, then you're going to have to stick with it, right? If you break an ascesis, what happens? Are there any repercussions for breaking an ascesis? Not really. However, when we break the promises we give to ourselves, it does harm our throat center, our communication, and our ability to get what we want in life. Because if we cannot trust our own word, then we're not trustworthy. If we are not trustworthy, then the world around us must not be trustworthy as well, because our world is usually a reflection of who we are. And you would notice that if you break an ascesis, while in the moment nothing really happens, you would notice that it's almost like your world starts playing funny games with you, and it's almost like you're not on the same side anymore. And it's just the repercussions of breaking your word and breaking a promise that you've given to yourself. So the promises that we give to ourselves are our most sacred promises. That is where we build the spiritual discipline. That is where we build the stamina. And that is where we start shifting the world around us, because when we can trust ourselves, then we can trust the world. And if we can trust the world, that means the universe is moving in our favor and everything is happening to our greatest advantage. Isn't that a beautiful picture? So use the practice of ascesis, if you haven't yet, to achieve or manifest things. For instance, you can literally take an ascesis and be like, hey, I want to buy an apartment for myself, or whatever is your material dream, right? It doesn't have to just be all ephemeral and spiritual. It can be anything really. Or you can be like, hey, I want to grow my business, right? And, through this practice of ascesis, essentially, ascesis is a process of accumulating the energy that you can then in one fell swoop take and deliver to your intention. I will tell you, even through the past 2 months, I have noticed shifts in my channel. So despite the fact that I'm still just at the very beginning of my cycle and there's 10 more months to go, I have been feeling extremely tapped in. And my abilities are starting to feel very, very different. It's like my connection never really fully goes away anymore. And that's a beautiful feeling. And I'm just excited to be building on this. Somebody on the other end of the screen needed to hear this. I know this is a very niche topic and, don't expect this video to get a lot of views. But I really just wanted to share this practice with you because it has helped me so much. And, not for nothing, but there's another Ascesis that I'm doing, and I've been on it for over 2 years now. And this is Liquid Fridays. So Liquid Fridays, on Fridays, today is actually a Friday, and this is my dinner. I was not going to show you guys, but this is essentially a smoothie. I can only have liquids, and I don't even have veggies. Like, it's usually liquid fruit. So it's a fruitarian diet, and I have 2 smoothies a day. But sometimes instead of the first smoothie, I would have carrot juice or like orange juice. And the reason I'm doing this Ascesis, and by the way, this one was completely dictated by Spirit and my Spirit guides, is because I'm finishing up my second Rose Codes book. And for that Rose Codes book, I really had to get into the clearest channel that I've ever had. And solid foods are preventing us from going high enough. And so I was advised that in order for me to channel that book, I need to go Liquid Fridays. Now, why Fridays? Because it's the book that's devoted to the Divine Feminine, and Friday is the day of Venus. So that is when I'm essentially lightening up my feminine energies to download a feminine book. The third book in the Rose Code series is even more high vibrational. So who knows? It definitely doesn't, it seems like I'm going to be on this Liquid Fridays situation for another 2 years as I'm writing my next installment. But then I'm starting to think about it. I'm like, okay, really, if I'm going to be on Liquid Fridays for 4 years to 5 years of my life, really, am I ever going to go back? Probably not. And you guys, I think from there, because right now my intention is to just channel, for this Ascesis, my intention is to channel as pure of a book as I possibly can. So when people take it, it's literally like an artifact of light. And just by being in somebody's presence, that book is going to emanate so much light into the ether that people's auras are starting to shift, their lives are starting to shift, and they didn't even have to read it. And if they read it, that's wow, explosion. That is the intention for that book. And if that means I have to go without food for I don't know how long, I would still do that. My level of commitment is that strong. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because Ascesis and the power of Ascesis is real. Tried and true. I tested it on me. It works every single time. It works amazing, especially for spiritual things. And so if you're not practicing it, I highly, highly recommend that you try it out and see what happens. If you have taken on an Ascesis, or if you'd like to, follow mine and try to go without coffee and shopping. And by the way, shopping, it doesn't have to be every single category. I still buy cat food on Amazon, if that makes sense. But just some specific categories where you spend a lot of money. I invite you to do that with an intention to, enhance your psychic abilities or open up your channel. It would just be fun. And to do this together, the more the merrier. Please let me know in the comments how you feel about taking on an Ascesis, or if you've practiced it and what your experience has been. So much love for you guys. Big virtual hug, and I'll see you in the next one.